Hi there, welcome to Computer Science 30S. This is lesson 6 in Scratch, BYOB, or Snap, whatever you happen to be using. Today we're going to be looking at lists. So after this lesson, you will know what a list is. You'll know what the generic terms array and index refer to. You'll understand how a list can be used, and you'll be able to create a list and perform basic functions on that list. Let's begin. Now, previously Scratch allowed us to store values as variables. Things like timer, balls left, score, that type of thing. Suppose we wanted to keep track of multiple instances of the same thing, such as maybe name 1, name 2, name 3, name 4, and so on. It would be nice if there was some way that we could modify this so that we could use a variable for the 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe not have to type in that many different variables for every name that we wanted, and how would you know how many names you needed in the first place? So this can quickly get very hard to match. So we need, say, a list of names that are numbered, say, from 1 to 10. Scratch uses lists. In computer science terms, these are simply called arrays, so you should know what that word means. And they are used in virtually every language. It's the basic data structure that every student learns to begin with. There are much more efficient and complex structures, but the array is sort of the basic building block that you learn first. So to do so, on the variable tab, select make a list and call it name. I want you to set it for all sprites. This means that all the sprites can see and use this list. In computer science terms, we would call this a global variable. In other words, all the scripts have global access. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to create a list and call it name. Variable, make a list. We're going to call it name, and it's going to be for all sprites. And there you go. It's been created. When you're done, you'll see the list box in the right-hand side of the stage, and mine was there. It's covered up a little bit by my recording window, but it's right there. Removing the check mark from beside the list name will hide the list box. You can add names to the list in two different ways. Let me show you how to hide that first of all. Okay, if you don't want the user to see this, you just click right there and it goes away. Okay, so there's two ways that you can add names. Let's look at the first way. You can add items manually by clicking on the plus button in the list, which is quite simple to do. Just go like this. And so on, pretty straightforward. So go ahead and add these names here, Adam, Bob, Carol. You can come up with 2 more names, 4 and 5. I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. I like to go A, B, C, D, so we'll go Ernie and Fred. Those are our 5 names. You will need another variable called index. This is the variable that keeps track of where you are in the list. It's the one that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, index is a generic term. It's commonly used to move around lists or arrays, but any variable name can be used. I'd like you to type in the following script to see how Scratch can use lists. Okay, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger here for you. Maybe even a bit bigger. So we're going to set the index to 0. We're going to repeat until index is equal to the length of the list name. We're going to change the index by 1, and I'm going to say item index of name for 2 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and do that over here. Okay, first of all, I need to create a new variable called index. When my green flag is clicked, I'm going to set my index to 0. I'm going to use a repeat. And I'm going to repeat until the variable index is equal to the length of the array name. And I'm going to change my index by 1. Remember that we started at 0. Change the index by 1, and then I'm going to say, for 2 seconds. Yep. I'm going to say item under the arrays here. If I just said item 1, it would just give me item 1, but I don't want item 1, I want item index. And that way, as the index goes 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to scroll through the names. Let's go ahead and run that. Okay, so when I press the green flag here, He's going to say Adam, index becomes 2, it says Bob, index becomes 3, he says Carol, index becomes 4, he says Ernie, index becomes 5, it says Fred. You should realize now just how powerful this is. You can store a lot of different things and you can loop through them, and there's lots of things you can do with arrays. Note that the index starts at 0 and then it's checked to see if it is equal to the length of the list. Then it is bumped by 1, the name is set, and the loop goes back to the top. Here I've got some more links here that I'm going to put on Schoology as well. If you think you need some more help with lists, there's one link here from Scratch, another one from Scratch Guide, and another one from a wiki, MIT Scratch. So lots of different help there on lists, but I think most of you will get that sort of right off the top. So here's your assignment. Make this a bit smaller so we can see a little bit better here. I'd like you to create using lists a rock, scissors, paper game. I'd like you to use 2 separate sprites. One is the computer playing against you. There should be a background, there should be sound. Your sprite is controlled by some key, maybe the space bar or something like that. The words rock, scissors, paper are flashed on the screen, not necessarily in that order, it could be random. When the player taps the key, the flashing stops and the player's choice is selected, and then the winner is determined. Score is kept. Use 2 variables, one for user score and one for computer score. Use various ifs to determine the winner. You might want to complete this chart below to help you. Obviously, there's going to be ties. You should create a reporter block that returns the winner's name and play until someone gets 5 wins. So I'm looking for that reporter's block. I'd like you to have some fun with this. Maybe the scissors can really cut the paper. You can animate it somehow if you like, especially if you're ahead of the course here. There also exist 2 help files with 2 levels of help and also a starter file. I'd like you to for sure start with the starter file to get started. If you need a little bit more help, then you can look to the other files. If you want help with the starter file, use the second video in this lesson. I'll be storing that on the iDrive, not on YouTube. That's where the starter file will be located. And show me your completed game for feedback, and we'll go from there. Good luck with that.